This week, the leadership students prepared a Wheel of Wellness activity for our advisory lesson on 127. In preparation for you to facilitate this lesson, I've prepared this short video to discuss materials and encourage you to do the activity for your own personal self care. You may notice this handout has been previously featured in the Staff Wellness newsletter, or if you've taken any PD courses on the Resilient Educator, this activity will be familiar to you. While listening to this presentation, please have your handouts pulled up or printed to follow along. When presenting this to students, encourage them to do the same. The activity can be found on the Canvas page under the Advisory Canvas page. You may share your handouts with your students prior to your advisory lesson. Please note the Wheel of Wellness has been altered for students to be more age appropriate. If you get confused, please do not fret. This activity is still valuable if you accidentally fill out the wrong worksheet. Now let's take some time to talk about how to present this tool to our students.
Our brains are constantly trying to seek homeostasis. We are wanting balance. However, if we are in burnout or facing chronic stress, it can be a challenge to find the balance that we seek. This activity is a great way to visually assess your domains of wellness when you are feeling out of sync. Frequently, we make assumptions about how we are taking care of ourselves. Sometimes we tell ourselves stories to justify and normalize our unhealthy behaviors. A good way to check in with our emotional health is to check in regularly without judgment. This activity is a great resource to assess and check in. Try to do this activity a few times a year, as it will highlight how fluid our emotional health and wellness can be. Also, coloring provides our brain a break and activates the soothing centers of our brain that helps us regulate, remain focused on a singular task, and helps us change our brain wavelengths. This makes us relaxed, become more creative, and open to new ideas. Before you begin the lesson, take a moment to check in with your students and introduce this tool. Before working on the wheel, it's important to offer a word of caution. I want you to be aware when looking at your finished product, you may find yourself surprised. This surprise can make us feel vulnerable. This feeling of vulnerability can turn into our inner voice telling us that we are not enough and leaving us feeling, well, the feels. I want you to quiet this inner voice. This wheel of wellness is not meant to shame or guilt. It is a tool to highlight areas where we are meeting our self care needs and highlighting areas that we can easily impact in a meaningful way. Be mindful that something might strike a chord that leaves your students feeling reflective. Most often, when I present this activity, people report that it feels good overall. Between the coloring and the positive reflection, it can feel very empowering. Often, students and adults like to share their wheel and highlight the wins. If you can, take some moments with your students to celebrate their wins on their wheel. Whatever your wheel of wellness shows you has no judgment value. It is not good or bad. It is just our wheel. After you complete your wheel, make sure to spend time reflecting on the follow up questions included on page 3. Create your plan of action to work towards finding balance. Our wheel is fluid and can empower us to have a sense of control when we are feeling out of balance. Try to focus energy on areas that make you feel good and try to make small changes in areas where you feel that you are lagging. Try to highlight with students some of the positively phrased questions and help students identify how to take their first steps. Identifying the first step to change is a great skill to cultivate for both personal and academic success. Feel free to remind students that the counseling department and the team are available to provide social and emotional support at any time. Take a moment to watch the video provided by the leadership students. I invite you to take 15-20 minutes for yourself to turn on some calming music, get comfortable, and color your own wheel. Thanks, Sunset staff.